Hello, good morning. I am going to do an abbreviated version of my leaves just because I feel like this was the jewel of the last video. So, there you go, maybe. So, stay tuned. Oh, goodness. Welcome to my channel. So this is marker paper, which I showed in the previous watercolor tutorial video, but it was kind of long, so I'm going to try to make this quick. And so I went and foraged in my backyard, found pecan leaves, Chinese tallow, bur oak, and let's see, magnolia, live oak, and oops. Well, I found a red oak. I don't know where it is. We don't have a red oak in our yard. We also don't have a pecan tree in our yard, but these three are ours. So live oak, magnolia, bur oak, Chinese tallow. This is from our neighbors, and the red oak is from our neighbors, but I don't know where I put it. Anyway, let's get going. So here's what you do: you just trace just with a pencil. I was suggesting to do this with your children or grandchildren, nieces, nephews, anybody, caregiver. Just if you need to help them by holding the leaf down, if they're too young to do that. But I feel like this is a successful project for any age because I'm 54 and this is just a very low level little watercolor tutorial. So I am using my cool palette and my warm palette, and these are all Grumbacher Academy colors. There are other brands, but that's just what I use. Academy is the student grade of Grumbacher, I believe. You want to get your paint really juicy, and right now I'm not even mixing. I kind of want to do the way this leaf is. So I'm not replicating this, exactly. But we always want to start with the lighter color first. So get some yellows juicy, and maybe a little Indian yellow. This is Indian yellow. If you don't have access to these exact colors, just use the ones you have, even if it's Crayola or Prang, because you can mix, the colors will mix on the paper, especially if they're juicy. So I'm gonna start down here with this Indian yellow, just because I want some, and then I'm gonna go on and get this green in so that they can kind of mix and mingle. There we go. So you want it soupy so that it puddles. You don't want, and you want it to mix. You want the paint to mix with this Indian yellow a little bit, because that's kind of what gives it its unique appearance once it's all finished. This paper reacts differently to watercolor paint than you would see on like actual, watercolor paper, whether it's a watercolor pad or like a sheet of watercolor paper. You can buy sheets of watercolor paper. Fabriano, trying to think. Arches, there's quite a bit. Canson. I used to buy those big sheets, but it's really hard to store the big sheets unless you tear them down, and I just ended up switching to the pads. We're gonna let this dry and move on to the next pecan. We don't want our pecans to be exactly alike. Some of the pecan leaves have already lost their chlorophyll. It's dried out, so we can do some, put a little yellow in there. We can make some brown, which is what I'm gonna do in this one. I just want all the variations of color. It won't be a total dead brown, but as you can see, if you can, I don't know, I hope you can, the pencil drawings I tried to, or tracings, I tried to press a little bit harder so you could see them, see the lines, but I literally just held down the leaf and traced. So, and like some of them, you know, they're wobbly, so you have to, you know, hold it down, which is why if your child or, you know, kid in your family needs a little help. I'm using these in my journals. So I like to make journals. I'm getting ready to start a little guest design team for Raindrop Lydia. And so I wanted to make some more colors. So this little Chinese tallow has lots of red in it. So I'm gonna do this. This is not the one I trace. This one's smaller, but I'm still gonna do it. And because I'm fussy cutting these out, once I'm done, I am not really worrying about staying in the lines because the pencil line is there for me, and I can, oh yeah, that looks good. I can, you know, cut off all the bits. I want these puddles, the paper's warping and the puddles end up looking really nice. So that's the effect I'm trying to go for. Once it's dry, the paper will flatten out a bit. Let's see. I'm actually gonna flip this way. This is another pecan. The pecan leaves have kind of jagged edges, like little zigzag back and forth. Like this one, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's very jiggity jaggedy. So, you know, feel free to, I'm gonna put just a tiny bit of green in here, just so I can get a variety of leaf colors. And then I want that, I think. Oh yeah, let's get that. Get it juicy so that it travels. You want the water, you just want it to travel from puddle to puddle, like that, across the paper. It'll take a while for these to dry. Do I have one that, oh yeah. So these are the ones that I've done. We'll work on these in a minute. So you're just gonna keep on keeping on. If your child wants to paint leaves blue, I mean, why not? In fact, maybe I'll do that right now. This is kind of a aqua blue. I'm gonna gray it down with just this, I don't know, it's kind of green. Let's see. Let's see what happens when we get this. So that was just a touch of Indian yellow. I just wanted to knock it down a bit. And I'm gonna do this pecan. And so now it's kind of a light aqua color, maybe like a jade even. Whoop. Oops a daisy. So if they want to get creative with their colors, our oldest son, when he was younger, his favorite colors were purple and black. And when he was in preschool, his little Thanksgiving turkey was a purple and black Thanksgiving turkey. And he just loved that thing. He was like 4. I just thought that was the cutest thing. I'm adding, I think that's probably it's either phthalo green or a turquoise, but I'm gonna put in some darker. And then I wanna see what this looks like when it dries, so I'm gonna leave that there. I actually kind of like that color. So take some artistic license. I mean, if you want, you know, traditional fall leaves, that's fine. I like this kind of colonial blue. I wonder if I could put some colonial blue in this one. So experiment. You know, if you want to do this with a child, let them experiment with the colors, because that's how they learn. If you stick to the colors that are neighbors on the color wheel, then you'll end up getting, or the kids will end up getting a really nice composition. If you use colors opposite each other on the color wheel, you're going to get more browns, grays, what some people like to call mud. But just don't make them, don't get too overly concerned with the colors that they're choosing, or what is being made once they mix the colors. It really is okay. It's just, you know, it's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be uptight. I think that's the fun part about watercolors, is just seeing how they perform on the paper and with each other. So there you go. So I'm going to let this one dry. Kind of looks like a wreck right now. I'm going to set it over here. And then I'm going to use a different brush. So these are dry. I've already done some line work, but then I stopped because I wanted to redo part of this video. So these already have some line work on them. You just need to get your browns. If you get, this is a number 2 brush. I think the most important thing to invest in is a good brush. The brushes that come with Crayola and Prang are terrible brushes, and they don't really allow a child to experience what you can do with a good brush, because they're just not good brushes. They're cheap. They either have plastic bristles or bristles that don't come to a point, and you can see this is very pointy. And when a brush is very pointy, you can, you know, drag it very lightly across the dry paint and get some really nice lines. You can also push and get some leaf shapes. You can't do that with a Prang, and I like the Prang, I do like the Prang paint, but just go to Hobby Lobby or to Michael's. Hobby Lobby always has brushes on sale, 40% off, you know, every few weeks. So check the ad and just see when they're going to be, you know, on sale, and then go pick up. Probably a 2 is a good one. An 8 is a good one. And a 4. So if you got 2, 4, 8, I'd skip the 6. I would just get the 8. These came from Michael's, but Hobby Lobby has, they don't have Artist Loft, but they have Master's Touch. So that's what I would do. Let me close this for a minute. And you know, if they have a birthday coming up, if they're already liking to be creative, I would invest in some good supplies, and then obviously teach them how to take care of their good supplies. They can't leave paint in the bristles, or it'll ruin, you know, the paintbrush. And so you don't want to do that. So you gotta, you know, teach them how to take care of things, how to put things away like they need to be put away. All of that those are all good life skills anyway. And maybe you have a particular place in your home where those things are kept, and where they can access them. We did that when our sons were young. I had a small little bookcase in our kitchen, and I got plastic drinking glasses, not like Solo, but like in the glass section at Walmart, I got plastic glasses. And I filled some with markers, some with colored pencils, some with regular pencils, some with safety scissors, glue sticks, and crayons, and they had access to that at any time, as long as they, you know, sat at the table. And then the paint we had, but they needed, you know, they needed to ask me, just because that required a little more setup. But yeah, get them a little smock, and or use an old t-shirt of theirs that, you know, is no longer in good shape, and let that be their you know, painting clothes. And don't hover. Just let them, just let them play with, that's a good brush right there. When you can start thin and go deep, and you get that kind of a shape, it has a good spring to it. And that's why I say it's really better to have a couple of brushes that the kids can use for watercolor, and if you do craft paint, you want a flat head brush. And yeah, maybe we'll do that another time. So you can see what I'm doing here. This is what's going to happen. And once you're done, you can, these are Tim Holtz scissors, which I really like because they're super sharp. And then you just cut it. And just stay, I would stay on the pencil line, because you can still kind of see that. And all of the, are you back? Daniel. Sorry, thought he had left. just cut along the pencil lines, and then all the little bits that you went over on the pencil line, like when you're painting, will not be you won't see them. And then you have a little leaf. And if you still have some white, you know, that you miss, cut it off. If you want to, for me, if I want to ink this white edge of the paper, I will for my journals. But the point of the ending part of that tutorial was to let your children get some twine, and you don't have to use baker's twine, although I think Dollar Tree sells baker's twine. You can, my suggestion was to hang them. You can even like wrap it around like that so that it goes through, and then you may have to glue it or you may have to staple it. I wouldn't use tape. This might be, depending on the age of your child, this might be a little tricky with fine motor skills. So you may need to, you know, do this part. But then you would have a cute little fall garland. I'm not going to do that. I'm using this is what I did the other day with the other leaves that I made. Is I put them on a belly band in my journal, and this is a live oak leaf. So this is what I'm going to be using mine for. This was on tracing paper, and this was on the marker paper. This was on the marker paper, and all of this stuff is raindrop lilac. So I'm starting a different project. This is my scripture journal. I'm starting a different project, but I want to be able to add some leaves where I want. So that's what I'm doing. So I hope this was a little bit better. If you have any questions, let me know. This is a much shorter video, that's for sure. And hopefully you... I sure hope I was in screen this whole time. I hope you have a good day. Bye.